And hello, everyone. It's your girl, Gabrielle. Welcome to a brand new episode of Hot Topics. If you have no idea what this web series is about, where have you been? We've been at this for a while now, but if you don't know who we are, that's okay. This is the web series where we like to talk that real talk. We like to put things out in the open. We have conversations that you usually talk at the kitchen table about. You talk about it with your friends and your family, or maybe your doctors, but you don't really put it out there for the public to know. Well, this is the show where we like to do that. We like to take things that we like to talk about in our little cliques, and we like to put it out there. So this is a show where that happens. So of course, we tend to focus on certain topics. We tend to we tend to focus on things in education, employment, uh, physical health, mental health. If you watch our previous episodes, we've talked about divorce, financial literacy. Um, we have a whole slew of episodes about ADHD. So we definitely talk about a wide variety of topics within our scope, and today is no different. So today, our topic is, oh, I forgot the banner. I'm just going to write that in real quick. So today is an interesting topic, and I look forward to having this discussion. So today's topic is about racial discrimination, right? For those of us black folk, dark skinned, colored folk, well, people of color, I should say, we've experienced racial discrimination one way or another. And it's one of those things that we talk about, but sometimes it gets swept under the rug due to systematic pressures. Um, Not systematic, systemic pressures. Sometimes it gets swept under the rug, or it's not talked about as often, or maybe it's little things that we don't really think about. Um, we're going to talk about that today, and I'm looking forward to putting this out there. And I have a guest with me who's going to help me out. She's actually a returning guest. Her name is Zaakirah Muhammad, and she enjoyed the hot seat so much that she came on back. So let's get started. We're just gonna get right to it. Let me just look for this banner. Okay, so let's get right to it. I'm gonna remind you who she is. So, who is Zaakirah Muhammad? Let me remind you about who she is. So, Zaakirah Muhammad has more than 10 years of professional photography and branding experience. She empowers people to step outside of their comfort zone through her gift of visual storytelling. Zakira is also the CEO and founder of Focused Media Group, that's focused with a PH, that empowers and supports the growth of minority owned businesses. She has overcome many challenges, including cancer and autoimmune disease, to establish herself as an innovative voice in the marketing industry. Fabulous. All right, so let's get right to it. I'm gonna bring her to the stage. Hi, Zakira, how you doing?
Hi, good. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, thanks for coming back. So, let's talk about it. We're here to talk about racial discrimination, and I want to hear your take on it, your opinion on it, and we're gonna just get right to it. So, you know the drill. I'm gonna hand over the baton to you, and I'm just going to let you say what you got to say.
Yes, thank you. So I am Zaakirah Muhammad. Zaakirah Nayara is my middle name. My middle name is Arabic for the here the after. Sorry, my middle name is Arabic for by life. My first name is Arabic for afterlife or the hereafter. So I've definitely been living up to my name, and just know that no matter what you go through in life, there is there's always a brighter day. There's always a brighter day, and through all the trials and tribulations that I've gone through as a cancer survivor of a childhood eye cancer called retinoblastoma, It went from passed down from generations, from being a descendant of Frederick Douglass to my mother using her visceral intuition to know that the first pediatrician that I had at my 6 month checkup was telling her that nothing is wrong with my eye when something was indeed wrong with my eye. And it took her going to a second doctor who actually was a specialist that told her and was 100% honest with her to tell her that your daughter has retinoblastoma. And if she does not have surgery right away, it could spread to her brain and could later cause death. So, gratefully, 3 months later, I was able to have surgery and have my right eye surgically removed. And then later, as a result, I did gain a bit of a hearing loss as well due to the radiation. But none of that has really kept me from fulfilling my creative purpose. Of course, along the way, there has been plenty of bumps in the road, especially with medical discrimination, especially with discrimination of being the only one, right? I am a person of color. I am multicultural. I am very much marginalized, but I've never really let it uh, keep me down, hold me down for too long. Can't hold us down for too long, right? Because women are powerful. We still are recording this video in Women's History Month. So I made it my business to be that light for other minorities as well.
Uh, awesome, awesome. So let's talk more about that light. Um, Even your word choice, using the word light. You're shining a light in a space of darkness, right? So even if, as I was reading your bio, you even said you want to be a voice for minority-owned businesses. So, what is it about being a person of color, being a minority um, that needs a light shined on?
Yeah, even though we are the minority in population, there's still so many of us out there. There's so many women out there. There's so many Black women out there. There's so many disabled women out there, and we 9 out of 10 times we have to work thrice, not even twice. Thrice is hard just to uh, be heard in the hospitals, in the schools, in the government, or even in our own small businesses, and that's all we need sometimes. We need that baton handed off to us that probably could be a light beam, or we need that actual guiding light that could be um, guide us to where what we need to be our own voice, to use our own voice, and be more empowered in our own voice. And I definitely thank my own mother and the own woman in my family and community that at first were advocating for me before I could advocate for myself, before I could use my own voice, before I knew where my life choice even came from. So I made it my business also because I have been where they've been and I relate to that the most. And it's the easiest yet difficult yet the most liberating thing that I believe that I can do day to day, no matter how difficult life is.
You said that you've been through it yourself. Can you talk about that more?
Yes, so I think I can start off with when I'm 3 months old and I'm not able to really voice, right? I'm not able to voice that I got some pain going on and around my face because anything in your eye is connected to your brain and your ear and your nose. So starting really up until the age of probably 6 or 7, I've been the one where my mom would take me to a doctor and just simply by looking at us because of the color of our skin would basically say, um, you don't have to worry about XYZ or, whatever you're thinking is going on, there's nothing really going on. So to be kind of put down in that way of we're trying to voice our concerns and you're saying no, your concerns are invalid. It starts there. It started even before I was able to say like, hey, I don't like these classmates. I don't like these teachers. These teachers aren't listening to me, or I don't feel like I'm learning well enough, or even later on as I'm entering the ages of preteen, 9 out of 10 times, thank goodness for having a good education. But 9 out of 10 times, I've been the only black, a disabled woman, girl in the classes. So, there were a lot of experiences in different cultures that um, most children at that time, they're very vocal between the ages of 7 and 12. And 9 out of 10 times, it's just a matter of not even understanding that, why does she look like she's cross-eyed or lazy-eyed or, um, like, where is she from? She has a different accent, or why is her voice so deep? So just kind of being the only one that's really different in that way, and then experiencing what it's like to be defined before you define yourself.
Right. So you're the only so were you the only were there other like black people in the class, or you were the only black person?
9 out of 10 times, there were a lot of classes where I was the only black girl. Right? Let's narrow it down that way. 9 out of 10, there were a lot of classes in my charter schools, Montessori schools, um, technical technical high school. I was the only black girl. At one point, there would be another black girl, or it would be another black guy. But 9 out of 10 times, I'm the only black person. Yeah.
Right. So you're the only there were so you have moments where you're the only black person, then you have other moments where you're the only black girl. Um, on top of that, you have your prosthetic eye. So it's like you have a bunch of different um, people watching you. So a bunch of different ways that you feel different. So I imagine all of that is overwhelming.
Yeah, but you know that you don't realize it. Or at least I would say I'm grateful because my parents raised me to really be limitless, raised me to really just see the world outside of myself. And so I never really realized that I was the only one until it was pointed out, until my first bullying experience of at first I wanted to, when I realized that I was the only black, or no, when I realized that I was the second, there was only one other black girl, I wanted to bond with that black girl. But instead, it was a friction filled bond because they were so used to having that power of being the only black girl that it would kind of like put me down as well. So yeah, and of course, throw in the fact that, oh, she differently abled, oh, she can't see in all of her eyes, or oh, she can't hear me. Yeah, let me go ahead and happily talk behind her back, or let me go ahead and happily whisper, near her, and maybe she'll never know. So moments like that, especially. I think if I was not the only black woman, um, if I was not the only black person, then yeah, I was 9 out of 10 times the only disabled person.
Hmm. And um what were some things that the kids said to you as they were bullying you?
Yeah, the one that really stayed with me the most that now as I'm older I can laugh at is being called four eyes, right? I wear glasses, not often on Zoom, but I do wear glasses. And when I was younger, the younger I was, the bigger they were, the rounder they were, the more colorful they were, the brighter color they were. So I would often be called, for eyes because I wore glasses, right? And it almost looked like I could not see without the glasses. When in reality, I can see perfectly fine. I have 20/20 vision in my left eye only. So I can see without the glasses. It's just I'm being a young, good girl who follows rules. I'm supposed to wear glasses per my doctor's order. I'm going to wear these glasses. So little would they know that I'm actually three eyes, right? So that's the one that really stuck with me the most of just being in sing-song mode, just being called four eyes.
Mm, I'm sure that was, humiliating for you, I imagine.
Yeah, I think those were my first actual embarrassing moments of, being called something that I know that I'm not, right? And so I probably, if it wasn't that experience, then a similar experience of being asked, "What's wrong with your eye?" If my prosthetic eye is not moving as quickly as my seeing eye is, so that really would spark that conversation of what is wrong with me, or asking my mother, "Was I born this way?"
Mm. So Let's talk about as you get old. Well, when you got older, so middle school, high school. How are things? Were you still the only black person or the black girl? How is it in the upper levels in school?
So middle school, no, I was no longer the only one. There was always another person. I'm also a practicing Muslim. That's why there's a head wrap over my head. So I was not the only Muslim. I was not the only black girl. I was not the only disabled black girl either. However, that was actually the first age of really noticing of um, people hating against your own kind, if that makes sense. I think the first memory I really have is in the sports field. The second memory I have is I'm such a happy and loving person that sure I would be friends with the boys, but I didn't notice or care or realize that that was actually your crush or that was actually your boyfriend, right? So 9 out of 10 times it just becomes this unintended friction, between when I want to kind of bond with someone that looks like me or has the same experiences as me, and there's always something being seen just because I'm different. I look different. I act different. I have different experiences. So moments like that, people will easily just kind of uh, find something, find some way to pick you apart because they're like, "What makes her so different than me?" And I want what she has.
Hmm. You said earlier about, people hating your own kind. Can you go into that more?
Yeah, it's probably a touchy, hot topic. Not many people would think about it, but a lot of my family members on my dad's side look a lot like my skin tone, right? But then I also have family members on my mom's side that look a lot like your skin tone. So for me, I've never known the difference. Black is beautiful, black is love, black is black, right? But then you get to the experiences of, I think probably later on in high school as well, that if you're trying out for athletic team, if you're trying out for certain organizations, the lighter skins would get um, would be lean more towards the administration would lean more toward them, right? Like you would see it almost would look like the darker skin would get in more trouble or not have as much resources or not be talking to the teachers as much because there's just a different kind of attention, right? And I remember noticing that like sometimes it would be to my advantage, but then at the same time it would not be to my advantage of um, being able to advocate for the individual education plans, that I needed, the accessibility options that I needed. Sometimes, yeah, I would notice that if I had a certain appointment, at school with a certain specialist, it would there'd be a more priority over that specific student than someone else. And I'm a very observant person, so this is not a pick me or pointing a finger type of situation. I would be very observant. I literally ask myself why, like why is that? Why is that? Why is it that I struggle with more you know government assisted options than others would, or the other way around. You know.
So it sounds like you're referring to colorism, and that when it comes to people of color, the ones with the lighter skin tones, they're more likely to receive more preferential treatment in terms of getting resources, in terms of treatment, compared to people with darker skin tones. Is that what you're talking about?
Absolutely. That's what I love about you. When my words just leave my mind, you pull me right back in. So colorism, yes. Colorism is everywhere. Not just in the medical industry, not just in schools. It's not just in family and friendship. It's literally everywhere.
Right. And so because of the colorism, it seems to be like divisions within the race in terms of like discrimination within a race,
Yeah,
like sub-racial discrimination and between like the light skinned black people and the dark skinned black people.
Yeah, and it's just interesting how history literally does repeat itself, right? Even though segregation did end in, you know, 50s and 60s, it still didn't quite end because then came the next level of discrimination of passing white, passing as white, passing the brown paper bag test, and now it's just everyone is biracial, and but you still, if you have any hint of color in your skin, then you get less treatment. Versus depending on how much color you have in your skin, you get more negative treatment. You know, and so for me, I think it's just always been that way of just realizing the differences when I am in a situation, even if the entire my entire work department, back when I was working retail jobs, that there's always less than 5 people. I would say that 5 people of color in my work department, but even if in my classes they were all together, less than 5 people of color, if it was someone, depending on the skin color, the age as well. It depends on how much there actually things will lean in your favor. When you need breaks in your tuition, when you need school breaks or mental health breaks, you tend to observe who's really more lenient to who when it comes to advocating for yourself.
Hmm. So, I mean, to me, you don't look that light skinned. I mean, to me, you're kind of on the dark side. But you felt that way? Did you ever feel that light skin privilege?
The real first time that I actually felt the light skin privilege was when I stepped foot onto Ghana, West Africa, in 2011. I was there for 2 months during the summer. It was a study summer volunteer abroad program. So I was a primary or elementary school teacher. And I remember one of the teachers during the break, they literally put their hand next to mine or put their hand on top of mine. And that's exactly what they asked. They're like, why are you not the same color as me? And so I'm like, I am one of you. I'm still one of you. They're like, no, you don't look like me, right? So that was the first time of really like, wow. I mean, just because, I end up having a bit more white family members in my lineage than she did made us seem different, and I think I remember also um, the children. You know how children they know when to push a person button, right? So they also, I would say this isn't. I mean, some people who have traveled to Africa may see it differently than those who have not traveled to Africa. But when there is a new teacher in town and they don't look like the teacher that they see every single day, the children gravitate towards them, right? And it's not just because they know that the the teacher is someone who is not from Ghana. They're literally, that's the first thing they do. They're rubbing on your hand, they're rubbing on your face, they're looking at your skin because they're like, wow, this person's light skin color.
So you felt like this creature from another world.
For a while, I did. At first, when I first got there, I'm like, why can't you just see me as your big sister? Why can't you just see me as your teacher? And they're like, because you're not from here. We love you, but we know you're not from here. It's all in your face.
So you just wanted to be accepted.
Yeah, I think that's anytime any types of discrimination comes up, when you have that history and you try to let go of the past, right? But in the end, that's what we all want. We all want love and kindness and peace, right? And at least for me, because I see life differently, literally, that's all I want for all of humanity, for all of us to just, we're all one big family.
Hmm. So if you could live in a perfect world, what would be in it?
If I could live in a world, it would be nothing but people who respect other people, who are non-judgmental of other people, who advocate for other people, and see, feel, and hear each other.
I noticed you didn't talk about how people look.
No, because like in the end, when we all go to the grave, we will go to the same grave. It doesn't matter what you look like. All of that will wash, burn, melt away. And we all technically came from one skin tone. It's literally one black person that makes the rainbow of skin tones in this world. So no, skin tone is not something that I would mention because in the end of the day, at the towards when you're toward the end of your life, I mean, I'm thinking today about an elderly family friend that passed away. I mean, all he wanted to do was be heard. I think if you visit nursing homes, and you just see like how much the elder just light up as soon as they just have someone that they can talk to, that can hear them, that can see them, that can feel them. It doesn't matter who it is.
All right. So so going back to just well, we've been talking about discrimination, but kind of bringing it back a bit. So what do we're talking about light skin privilege and colorism, and resources. So what's the answer? Solve racism. What's the answer?
Listen, listen to what other people are saying about their experiences. When you listen without judgment, honestly, that's the solution. I think what happens is we listen intently to our parents growing up. We listen intently to the story that are passed on generation to generation. And then when we get a story completely different from what we're used to, what we've heard, we're very defensive about it, right? But when you really just kind of keep that open mind, that childlike wonder that you've had as a child, when you keep that and you truly listen to what is life like for you, what are you struggling with, what makes you beautiful, not necessarily different, but what makes you beautiful, right? I really just feel like if we had um, more genuine and intent listeners. I think there's a song that's really coming to my head of it's Nickelback. Again, no judgment here, right? Nickelback has a song called "If Everyone Cared." Um, if everyone loved and nobody lied, right? So it has the great lyrics of literally if everyone cared. That honestly, that's really what I believe is the solution to removing or shrinking down discrimination as much as possible.
And also, I mean, listening to each other is one thing, but also, teaching your children about teaching them about listening, teaching them that different doesn't mean bad. It also means because the reason why we still have racism is because it's being passed down from generation to generation. So I also think also teaching our children, you will see different, but different does not mean bad.
I agree with that. Yeah, and
Mhm.
I agree that there is the difference between sure listen and hold on to every word that your parents, your grandparents, your great grandparents tell you, or operate once you know the difference between right and wrong. Operate and keep that judgment, keep that logic, keep that common sense, keep that gut into you, and keep it strong. And yeah, that would really play a huge role in making sure that you know that the person next to you is just as kind and nice deep down inside than the person in front of you and the person that you grew up with.
Mhm. and also um and also exposure as well. I think all races do this. We tend to have these clusters. um it's the same, like with white people. It's some, not all, but it's pretty common that they tend to be in the same neighborhoods and they go to the same schools. They go to the same community centers. They go to the same doctors. So it's kind of staying within that white bubble. Also encourages discrimination as well, because then you'll have the random person outside trying to come into the bubble and they're like, what? I mean, it's also, I notice it with black people as well. There's black bubbles, with they want to see black doctors, and they want to go to black banks, and they go to the same, black schools and the same black neighborhoods. And I'm sure it's the same with Asian cultures and Latino cultures, that we form these bubbles, and then someone from the outside comes in, and that's where the discrimination happens as well.
Yeah, and I think at least when it comes to the black bubble, the black cultures, unfortunately, because of all the levels of racism, discrimination, and laws against black people, that we kind of had to have our own, build our own, because yes, the other ethnicities who think they're better than a different ethnicity will continue to put them down, even though one person may have a better education and the other person may be really good at networking. And it's funny because my mother name Nayar, because I use it because it's a lot shorter than Zakira Muhammad. I use Zakira Nayar, as my brand. And until they see me or hear me speak, I think I'm often um, uh, it's often thought that I'm Indian from India, right? I think there's an actor from a popular TV show called The Big Bang Theory, and his name is Kuno Nayar with the E, I believe. But and so I never really like. I don't say, "Oh no, 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 I'm not Indian." It's like if I'm Indian, I'm Caribbean. I'm black. I'm biracial. Like I'm one. I'm literally everything. Like and but I think I get it though, because there had been passed down for so long. It's gonna take a long time to unlearn that. As long as, once again, everyone loves, everyone cares, and truly understands that we literally, despite different boat drop offs, we came from one person.
And who is that one person we came from?
Well, I feel like we'll talk more about it next week, right? Because we got one more part of this series. But I am a practicing Muslim, and I do believe that we have one God.
All right. All righty then. All right. So, you know what? Trying to see what else I would ask. So then what about systemic racism? What about like the project, like housing, I think redlining, voting rights. What about all that? What do we do about all that?
Yeah, we still got a long way to go with that. Thank you to the great leaders like Malcolm X, like Marcus Garvey, like Martin Luther King Jr., who really see um, the negativity and how really it can be. Um, all it requires is love and patience, right? But I think it's really a long way, especially women. I the first thing that's really coming to mind when you say that is the women rights, because it's still shocking to me that it was literally not even 50 years ago that women were able to have their own bank accounts, which means they could have their own houses, which means they can live on their own, right? It's only recent, and culture plays a role, religion also plays a role, but I just still feel like we all have a long way to go, because I just think it takes a handful of strong people to move things forward, and I just still feel like, especially also with the housing industry, that we have a long way to go. We've come from we we come from such grand places, and then we got to go to low places, and then now we're at that point where we're in the middle of going back to that grand royalty lifestyle, but it's gonna take a little while longer.
All right. All right. So we are starting to wind down. Do you have any final words of wisdom that you'd like to share?
Yes, see life differently. Take the time to literally see life differently. Hopefully, this conversation is a eye opener, brain opener, mouth opener, heart opener for you. But take the time to literally see life different. Step outside of your own comfort zone. Step outside of yourself. As hard as it may be, it'll be a good reward in the end.
All right. Thank you so much, Zakira. Let me put up your banner. All right, you guys. So, Zakira is all over social media, right? Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn. So go to all of her accounts and follow her on all of her accounts. Definitely stay in touch with her. And she has a website. It is her name,
Now,
zakiranair.com.
y'all.
Nayar, excuse me, nayar.com. Can you talk about your business briefly?
Yes. So ZaakirahNayar.com is the brand. The brand is literally me uh, encouraging, again, you got to start with the minorities because there's a lot of trauma back there. Um, Encouraging them to step outside of their comfort zone, see life differently, utilize their voice, which starts with their brand. They need to know what legacy do they want to put out there on social media because social media is not going anywhere. I've been using social media for technically 20 plus years now. I was on the internet, during a very young age. I was on Facebook before I was even supposed to be on Facebook. I think at one point the minimum age on Facebook was 18. I was like 13. um, but now because I know I've been doing it for so long, now it's my turn to really help you, support you. If you're trying to do the great resignation, you want to get back to that 7-year-old child that just loved doing uh, creativity, traveling, handiwork, whatever it was that you really loved to do before you had to do what you had to do, before you're doing what you're doing, right? So that's what I do business wise. But then also, when I'm not uh, supporting other businesses as a consort, I'm also a podcaster. I'm also an author. So I have my mom and I have a book called Seeing Life Through a Different Lens, a survivor. We can put a parenthesis to cancer survivors memoir on how to overcome adversity with resilience. And it's literally, according to the Amazon reviews, it's literally like a how to see life more positively guide. Not only are you going to really learn the story of what it was really like to go through all that adversity and discrimination, being first a cancer survivor, then as a woman, then as a black woman. But you will learn something, even if you aren't directly affected by cancer, meaning you have it or a friend or a family member has it. You will be educating yourself as well. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so you can see what that looks like. Right now, I'm on my website. I think up here is when you go to the website, zaakirah.com, you will actually see a few of my podcast episodes kind of show up. Feel free to take a listen. But if you go to zaakirah.com/book, I do have a select number of copies left that you can purchase for autograph, or you can also get it on Amazon. You can get it at Barnes and Noble. You can get it on Apple Books. You can get it on Google, or you can just download the ebook or you can get the Audible book. So I'm an author. I'm a podcaster. I just still love storytelling, and I look forward to knowing what day that you share your story too. And I hope this inspires you as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. And I'm also going to put up the link to your podcast. This is only the Apple link, but your podcast is wherever podcasts are being
Yeah,
played.
yeah. Luckily, Amazon has podcasts now. So literally, if you are used to your Google, do that. If you're used to Apple, do that. If you're used to Amazon or Pandora, do that. It's literally everywhere. See life different with Zakir and Aya.
All right, you guys heard it. So check out her. What's the name of your podcast?
See life different.
All right. So check out her podcast. The link is scrolling below. That is for Apple. For those of you on Android, Google, it is also on, I guess, Google Podcasts, wherever that is. And it is on Amazon,
Podcast.
Spotify, Amazon
Spotify, yes.
Podcast,
Yes.
Spotify, all that. So wherever there is a podcast, she is there. All right, so definitely check out her podcast. And she just showed you the website with her books. So her books are, again, wherever there are books, check it out. Amazon, Audible, Google, Apple. This the hard copy book and the audio book. So definitely go get that book. And I'm just gonna put up her contact information once again. All of her social media is scrolling below at the bottom of your screen. So please go to every single one and follow her. And to learn more about her services, the things she has to offer, go to her website, zakiranayar.com. And of course, all of this information will be provided to you in the description for those of you watching this on YouTube. All right, so Zakira, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. See you soon.
All right, I'm gonna place you backstage. And you guys, it is just you and I. So I'm gonna put up my banner and we have reached the conclusion of our episode. Thank you so much for joining me today. So, whatever platform that you are watching this episode right now, please check it out for more videos and clips. And don't forget to follow us, right? Follow, like, subscribe, whatever the button is, press it. Press that button, right? And while you're at it, let us know what you thought about this episode by leaving a comment in the comment section below or in the comment thread. I would love to know your thoughts about this episode. And as a reminder, this web series is a production of A Step Ahead Tutoring Services. So if you would like to learn more about our services, our workshops, if you are interested in getting a tutor for yourself or for your child, please reach out to us. Our contact information is scrolling below at the bottom of your screen, but I will say the website. The website is www.astepaheadtutoringservices.com. I also encourage you to sign up for our email list and our texting list. Those links are also scrolling below. I encourage you to sign up for both of them, texting and email list. You will learn about our promotions, our special discounts, special events. You will hear about all of that before anybody else. So I encourage you to sign up for our email list and texting list. Those links are scrolling below. And the information will also be in the description if you are watching this video on YouTube. All right. And Muhammad. Okay, I apologize for that. I will correct your name next time. All right, so I'm just going to play this last message before we officially close.
Hey there, have you heard of us? We're a small team of tutors here at A Step Ahead Tutoring Services. We believe that education and information should be accessible to everyone, regardless of income, race, or creed. We're dedicated to making this happen, but we need your help. Please consider making a donation to our company. No amount is too small. Your donation will allow us tutors to remain employed, offer free and low-cost services, put on productions like this web series, and reach out to families nationwide. With your help, we can tackle the academic challenges of our students and the emotional, mental, and behavioral changes that result from these challenges. As a bonus, we can improve our communities in the process. Support us today. Note: we're a for-profit company. We're not a charity. Your donation may not be tax deductible. Please consult a tax professional.
All right, thank you so much for that. Zakira just gave me a little correction of her name there, so I do apologize. It is Muhammad with an AD at the end, not the ED. So when you look for, well, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube is all the same, website's all the same, but for those of you going to LinkedIn, it is Muhammad with an AD at the end. I do apologize for that correction. So I just wanted to put that out there. All right. We are done. Thank you so much for watching this episode, and I look forward to seeing you at the next episode as I look for this video here. All right, so I will see you next time. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for joining us. And now I'm signing off.